everyone. Thank you so much for being here today. My name is Nguyen. My pronouns are she and her, and I'm a college success advisor here at Fulfillment Fund. Again, thank you all so much for being here on a Friday evening and sharing your time with us. Today, we're going to be talking about college match and fit. So throughout the workshop, there's going to be Q&A. So feel free if you have any questions at any point, write it in chat. I have my moderator, Gloria, here, who will help me answer some of your questions, and we'll definitely save some questions as well to answer throughout the presentation. But before I begin, I did just want to talk a little bit about myself and introduce me. So again, I'm Nguyen. I'm a college and sex advisor here at Fulfillment Fund. I'm a first-gen college student, so I'm the first in my family to go to college. I'm originally from Northern California, and I went to Sonoma State University there. I double majored in psychology and human development, and later got my master's in counseling. After that, I moved to LA. So I've been in LA for about 5 years now. Time flies by so fast. I'm really enjoying it here. Very grateful to be able to work with some amazing students like yourself and staff. And yeah, so let's get started. All right, so just a quick overview of today. You're going to be understanding college match and fit, the components of college fit, building your college list, and we'll leave the Q&A towards the end. All righty, so before I get started, as you're looking at the cartoon, I did have a poll I wanted to ask you all. So if we can have the poll ready, that would be awesome. But on the poll, what you're going to be seeing is you're going to see the question, where are you in your college search process? So I would love to know, like, where are you at? Do you have a good idea of, what colleges you're applying to? Have you started, but, you're continuing to explore, you're not really sure yet, or have you not started yet? Let me know. I would love to hear from you all. All right, it's coming in. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So just like I said, right, you might be seeing this cartoon and think like, oh man, I could totally relate to that. Looking at colleges, it's a lot, right? You can start feeling overwhelmed, you get a little bit nervous, maybe you're a little stressed out, or you're really excited, right? You've been wanting to apply for colleges and go to colleges throughout, your entire life. And maybe you're like halfway through the maze, or maybe you're towards the end and you already started applying. Everyone here is very different in terms of their college search process. And, there's thousands of colleges throughout the US, and your journey to finding the right college will be different for everyone. It's not like one size fits all. So today I'll be discussing the various factors to consider and research, and hope that by the end of today's workshop, you're feeling a little bit better or consider different things that you may have not considered before. All right, so we're going to get into what exactly is college match. So college match is when a student meets a college's needs and prerequisites. For example, grades, test scores, and other academic requirements. So essentially, right, each college is going to have different requirements. So it's important to research and know what they are. We're going to dive in a little bit more about college match later in the PowerPoint. But pretty much college match means that you as a student feel comfortable meeting those requirements for the college or university is looking for, and that you feel comfortable enough to know that you're going to be offered admission. So that's what college match means. And then college fit. So a good college fit is when a college meets a student's needs and wants academically, socially, environmentally, and financially. So good college fits will meet most, if not all, of your preferences in college. So as you can see with college match, right, it's about how you're meeting the college's needs, but college fit, it's all about you. You're finding if the college meets your needs and what you're interested in, right? So again, a big part of this presentation is discovering all those different factors and things to consider, and we're going to dive in a little bit more deeper about that. I wish there was an easy way to just close your eyes, right, and like throw a dart and like have that, universe pick whatever school, but, pick in your college knowing that you're going to be there for quite some time, whether that's for 2 years, maybe a trade program, or 4 years. It's going to be super important you find what's going to be best fit for you. All right, So we're going to play a quick game. So what's going to happen, and I'm going to show you the directions. So what you're going to see is you're going to see college fit terms pop up on the screen. And it's going to look like this, okay? And then as they appear on the screen, you're going to write the number in chat. So when you think about clubs, right, you're going to think, is it 1? Yeah, this is important to me. It's important that I have clubs that I'm interested and I'm involved on campus. Or is it 2? This is somewhat important to me. I mean, it's kind of, but it's kind of not. Or is it 3? It's not important to me. So this is just a sample, right? So what you're going to be doing is, again, I'm going to have certain words that are going to pop up, and you're going to write in chat either a 1, a 2, or a 3. Did anyone have any questions before we get started? Okay, I think we're okay. All right, so let's get started. So you're going to see on the very top, I still have the numbers, so don't you worry, it won't go away. Let me just make sure. Okay, someone said no questions. Great. All right, so the first college fit term is going to be major in classes. So is that important to you? If it is, write a 1. If it's somewhat important to you, write a 2. And if it's not important to you, you would write a 3. Let's check chat. Let's see. Oh, I see a lot of 1s. Okay, super important for everybody. Awesome. Perfect, perfect. Yeah, I mean, it's super important to know that the college or university or program has that major and has specific classes for you. Great. So then the next word is location. Is location important to you? Is it somewhat important to you, or is it not important to you at all? Oh, okay. I see some 1s, I see some 2s. All right. Perfect. All right, you ready for the next one? Next one's gonna be campus size. Do you like is it important to you in terms of how big the campus is? If it is, you would want to say a 1, right? Or not really, I don't really care if it's big or small. Or it's like, I don't really, I don't mind any size as long as it meets other factors of my college fit. Okay, now I'm seeing some 2s and some 3s. Okay, cool. So we got 2 more to go. Next one is cost. Does the cost of school, is that important for you? So 1, 2, or 3? All right, I'm seeing a whole bunch of 1s. Yeah. All right, I see a 2, another 1. Great. Okay, and the last one that we have is housing. Is housing important to you? I would love to hear if housing is important to you all, or maybe not important, or maybe you're living on you're thinking about commuting. You're like, it's not really important. I already know that I'm gonna be living at home. Okay, I see some 1s. I see more 3s here. See some 2s. Okay, perfect. Well, thank you all so much for participating. I think this is a great just exercise just to see where everyone's at in their process and like what they believe is important to them. And as you can see, everyone is so different, right? Everyone views certain college fit terms and factors, and it varies per person. Like I said, one size does not fit all, right? But yeah, thank you so much for sharing. And the words here, we're definitely going to be talking about that a little bit more detail, but thank you all so much for participating. So now we're going to dive right into some of the terms that you saw, okay? So we're going to talk about the components of college fit. All right, so academic, like a lot of you said, I think everyone said 1 for majors and classes. So the first part to think about is admissions, right? Every admission requirement is going to be different for the school. So you want to think like, what are the minimal requirements for a GPA? Do they require SAT, ACT? Do they require certain test scores, right? What about the essays? Are they requiring you to do a personal statement? Are they requiring you for letter recommendations? You really want to see, what exactly are the admissions for the specific school, because every school is different, right? You all might have heard A through G requirements, right? They're required courses to be eligible to be to be able to apply for a college. So you want to make sure you're up on top of that. And if you're unsure about what A through G is, definitely, write a little asterisk note. And, that's another different conversation. But yeah, those are just some things to think about because every school is so different. And then the type of college, right? Like, are you thinking about a 4-year? Or are you thinking about a 2-year? Private, public, community college? I mean, there's just so many different options, right? So some of you might be thinking, I want to go to a vocational trades, right? So some examples might be dental assistants, cosmetology. I want to be able to cut hair, get some nice clean fades in there, be an auto mechanic. Those are some great trade opportunities for you that are at community colleges. So maybe that's what you want. Maybe you want to go to a 2-year, right? Go to a community college. There's so many great community colleges out here in California. Or maybe you want to go to a UC or a CSU, right? Public colleges. So for CSUs, right, it's more of a practical system. They're putting students directly to work. And then when you're thinking about a UC, it's very research-based, right? You're working with high-level professors in terms of research, in terms of learning. So you also want to look into like what experience do I want to have in terms of learning and studying? Or maybe you want to look for a really small school. You might be a liberal arts college where we're going to talk a little bit more about in terms of population and campus size, but maybe that's something that you want to look into. There's just so many different options in terms of colleges. And then again, you're looking at majors and minors. A major is an area of study, right? So not all colleges are going to have every major that you want. So you want to be able to, let's say if you're interested in biochemistry, right? Not every college is going to have that as a major. So you want to just make sure that the college you're looking at has that for you. Also, there's a major called undecided and undeclared. You also want to kind of think about and consider that if you're just not really sure you want to do. I mean, when I was at Sonoma State, I probably switched my majors like 4 times. I didn't declare my major until junior year. So, some colleges require you to pick a major, and sometimes it's not undecided, undeclared. So you also want to kind of consider that as well. And if you're not sure, again, totally fine, totally normal. Again, I like switched my majors way too many times. And just to kind of highlight some schools I was researching, CSU Long Beach, if you're interested in marine biology, you get to work with sharks, which I think is really cool, but kind of frightening, but kind of cool at the same time. And they have these like huge research places where it's like huge water tanks. So you get to work with actual sea creatures, which is really cool. LACC, our local community college here, they have a great acting program. They've got some notable alumni, AKA Morgan Freeman or Mark Hamill. I don't know if you know Star Wars, Luke Skywalker. They went to LACC, which is super cool. And then another one I figured out is Rio Hondo Community College. If you're looking for a really cool CTU program and you want to work in kind of the tech or work under Tesla, they have a great program to be a service technician and you get to work under Tesla. I mean, there's just so many different research or just opportunities out there, and you just want to explore and see what fits best for you. And then environment, right? This is a really big one as well. I think I remember seeing kind of, oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Kim, can you go back? There is a question about the differences between a community college and a public institution. Can you just clarify that a little bit?
Yeah, community college, with those types of programs, they're different degree levels. So with community college, you're able to get an associate's or you're able to get certificates. The pathway to that is a little bit different. Some students go there for 2 years and then later transfer. And then when you're looking at public schools, there's options in terms of like a 4-year. So they're both public universities, but in terms of the types of degrees you have, they're just a little bit different. Community colleges, you can get certificates, you can go the 2-year route and then transfer. And then if you're looking at like a CSU, UC, they're usually going towards like a bachelor's, sometimes master's, and going towards like your doctor sometimes. All right, so environmental. So location, right, might be a really big factor to you and maybe might not, but there's, different types of settings, right? So there's the urban setting. If you're looking to live in a city, right, you might be looking at USC or Columbia in New York City. So that's definitely a place that if you like the city, you might want to consider an urban area, right? And then if you look below with the cows, right, and a lot of grassland, you might want to look into rural, which is the countryside, right? So there's city, there's countryside, but if you're like, I want to find something right in the middle, then you've got the suburban areas, right? You've got the small cities, the large towns, or residential areas that are like closer to large cities. So it's a good like combination of both. Or maybe you're like, I want to go out of state, and you don't want to stick here and you want to go to like the Midwest or the West Side or, the East Coast, whatever it is, you want to consider what that looks like. And then you also got to think about weather too, right? If you're not someone who likes the snow, probably you don't want to go to an out-of-state college that has snow there, or you want to go to, a school that has all 4 seasons. Whatever that is, you really want to consider what the weather is like. When I went to Sonoma State University, we were like a suburban rural area. And we were more towards like I would say rural side on one side of it. And then we had so many cows, and sometimes during the year, we would get such a strong whiff of like the cow manure. And like it would be a thing at Sonoma State where it would be like people were running inside or just kind of get used to it. But you got to think about some of those things depending if you want to be in a rural area. Or if you think about a city, there might be a lot of noise, right? Are you okay with that? Is that a space that you'd be comfortable being there for 4 years? So it's just some of the things you want to consider in terms of location. Another thing is, do you want to stay close to home? Do you want to be far away, right? And build those independent skills when you're away from your family or, whoever that is. And then campus size, right? Do you want a big campus size? Do you want something, in the middle? Do you want something in small? So for the first example on the top, that's Mount St. Mary's. So Mount St. Mary's has about 3,000 students. So it's a really small campus, right? But if you compare something below, which is UC Davis, they have over 50,000 students. 50,000 to 3,000 is a really big difference in terms of size on campus. I mean, UC Davis is so big, they call it the bike town. So there's over like 20 miles of bike paths. Students are like biking everywhere to their class just because it's just so big. And luckily it's flat, there's no mountains. But yeah, you want to think like, do you want to be in a smaller area? Do you want to be on a small campus size? Do you want to be on a bigger campus? It just really depends on, what you like and what your interests are. And then you want to think about class size as well. Where do you learn best? Like, how do you study best, right? Are you more comfortable in a small class, like group discussions, less than 30 people, kind of like in a high school setting? Do you work better with that? Or do you like really big lectures, right? Some lectures can range up to 300 to 100 students in a hall. Or do you like something kind of in the middle, right? So you really want to kind of think what type of experience in terms of student to teacher ratio, because if you're in a classroom setting that's under 15 students, right, you're going to have a better opportunity to know your professors. You're going to have a better opportunity where your professors knows your name, right? Are they going to be accessible to you? Not to say that the large campuses you're not able to, but you're just going to have a bit of a different experience there. So just some of the things you want to consider for the environment. All right. And then the next one is you want to consider student and faculty diversity in your campus, right? So there's ethnic diversity, there's gender diversity, right? Is it important for you to find a co-ed school, or do you want to go to an all-female school or all-male school, right? There's also geographic diversity. Is everyone from the same area, right? Or is there a lot of students that are commuting, or a lot of students coming from out of state or international students, right? What kind of like community do you want to have? And you want to think about that, and you want to see like what are the demographics for that. There's also background diversity as well, like in terms of SES, right? Economic status. You might want to consider that as well. Those are just some of the different diversities you want to think about, because do you want to be at a school that you share a lot of cultural similarities, or do you want to have a lot of differences? It depends on you and what that looks like for you. And then there's student services. So a lot of campuses, they usually have a variety based services like based on your gender, sexuality, ethnicity, religion. And there might be some campuses that you want to kind of look for that. So you have like a safe space or services for that for you. Um, you might want to look for first gen low income, right? I'm sure you've heard of EOP. There might be some freshman year experience that you're interested in and want to have that on your campus. So those are some things to also consider as well. And then looking at like mental health services, career tutoring, what type of supportive services do they have? Those are all some things that you want to consider when you're looking to find, what is a good fit for you. So we're just going to take a little bit. I just wanted to see if there are any questions or anything like that. And if not, we can continue to move on. Okay, let's keep moving. All right, so the financial side, which I saw everyone, I think, put a 1, which is really important. And it was really important. It was a big factor for me too, coming from a low income family. This was a big one for me in terms of if the college was going to be a right fit and where I was applying. So, you're going to be thinking about how much does a college attend, right? And usually here's a breakdown in terms of cost of attendance. So you're going to be looking at tuition and fees, right? And then you're going to look at housing. So in terms of housing, right? Do you want to live on campus? Do you want to live off campus? Are you going to be commuting and living at home? And if you do, even if you live at home, right, you got to think about food. Are they going to ask you to pay for rent? Or maybe you want to live in an apartment. So you want to kind of consider some of those factors in terms of your cost, whatever your housing situation will be like. Then you got transportation, right? You got to think about, does your school have good public transportation? Because one of my students in San Diego said, public transportation isn't as great as LA. And she totally forgot to consider that. So she's having to find different ways and paying a little bit extra for that. Do you want to be in a place where it's very green friendly, right? A green college where a bunch of students are biking, do you want to have that? You also want to consider like books and supplies and personal expenses, right? Those are all incorporated into the cost of attendance. But the good thing is, all students qualify for some financial aid, whether that be grants or loans. We always talk about making sure that you apply for FAFSA or DREAM Act. It usually opens in October 1st. So, you really want to consider applying for that because then you'll be able to receive some type of financial aid. And then also, I'm sure you've heard about scholarships, right? You might be thinking, Kim, I don't think I can, apply for scholarships. I don't really have a high GPA. But, surprisingly, there's just so many, there's hundreds, out there that are not just looking at your GPA, but they're looking at your community service. Like, what are you doing with your community? They're looking at artistic talent, right? They're looking at, there's some specifically on gender, ethnicity, right? The major you're going to be going into. So there's plenty of other non-academic scholarships that you can apply to. And, when I was in high school, I definitely did not take advantage of it because I thought it would take a long time. And also because I thought I just didn't qualify for it. And I hear students, tell me they'll spend like, a day applying and then, they were able to receive $1,000 scholarship, so it doesn't hurt to try because there's a lot of money out there. And we always recommend students to take an hour or 2 a day, to apply because there's free money, free money is great when you're looking at in terms of like breaking down and making college a little bit more affordable. And then, if you're a senior here or, in the future, when you start applying for colleges, you're going to start receiving a lot of different financial aid award letters, right? So then you want to start comparing and seeing which school is offering what. I know some students, or a student I checked in, she said that she ended up picking UC Davis because they offered her a full rate scholarship. And that could be a big difference between you picking your top school and then that being your third school because of the difference it had in terms of your financial aid award letter offers. So those are just some things to consider when you're looking at the cost and overall in terms of the school for you, and know that even with private schools, there's a lot of funding there as well. So if you're hesitant or like not really sure about private schools, there's definitely a lot of financial aid there to help support you. And then let's, dive into some social, right? When you're thinking about social, it might be another factor that you want to consider, right? What are some of your interests outside of academics? Because it's not all about school. It's about out clubs, extracurricular activities, right? You want to think about what type of community do you want to build at college? I mean, there's so many colleges and different college and universities that you can be involved in. I mean, just to name some on the top of my head, as you can see some of the pictures, right? There's ultimate frisbee, there's rock climbing. If you're into dancing, you can be dancing. There's like a robotics club, anime club. I mean, there's endless amounts of clubs. But however, if you're on a campus and you're like, I'm really into like K-pop or a book club, you can create your own. That's the beautiful thing about on college, excuse me, is that you're able to create your own club. So even if you don't find one that you're interested, you can totally make one up to yourself, right? And then also just to kind of think about, right? If you're an athlete and you want to go into like the NCAA or anything like that, or you want to start looking at some athletic programs. So you want to kind of see, which team is the best or which team is going to work best for you, right? What is that going to look like? And if you're into sports, when I went to Sonoma State, they actually didn't have a football team. So if you're considering football and that's really important to you, you want to have that school culture. Not every school is going to have a football team or have those football games. So you kind of want to look into that if that's important to you. And then there's Greek life, right? So you've got your fraternities, you got your sororities. A lot of the things that I mentioned are usually on social media or Instagram. So if you're wanting to look at a campus's, chemistry club or, music club or whatever that is, they usually have some type of social media, or you can even look on the campus websites and get a little bit more insight to see, what's that about? And then even for personal experience, I commuted to Sonoma State from an undergrad for 5 years in total. And I even did that when I went to grad school. And it was hard for me to connect because I didn't live on campus. And it wasn't until sophomore year where, I really wanted to find belongingness on my campus and find community. So I ended up joining an Asian American club and a hip hop dance club. And that's where I was able to connect with people. And, connection networking is so important when you're in college because it can open new doors and it could allow you to have friendships that you're still in contact with them. And I'm so grateful to be able to join those clubs and be there. So yeah, just keep an open mind, look into what the school has in terms of involvement in clubs, because, it is important to have some connection or involvement in there. All right. So then next is building your college list. So let's talk a little bit about that, right? So roughly, right, when I think about college lists, I really tell students, make sure you're just not putting all your eggs in one basket. You want to be able to apply to different schools. And what I mean by different schools is that, I don't know if you've heard about reach, match, or safety, but safety schools are schools or colleges that you have a high chance of getting in, right? You're exceeding the minimum GPA, your test scores. That's a safety school, knowing that you're going to be getting in. And one of the good safety schools is a community college, right? So you want to think about that. And then the next thing is about match. So we did mention about match, right? So that one, in terms of match schools, let's say you're exceeding the minimum requirements, but sometimes some of the schools are a little bit more competitive. So for example, for CSUs, right, a minimum GPA is about 2.5, and you have a 3.0 GPA, right? You're exceeding the minimum requirement for a GPA, but yet some Cal States are a little bit more competitive, right? They're not just looking at your grades, they're looking at you as an overall person. What have you been doing in terms of volunteering? What's your involvement in school? All of that, because yeah, they're looking at you as a whole, not just your GPA. And then you have your reach schools, right? Those are the schools that are a little bit harder to get in or a little bit more competitive. So with those, you maybe have like a slightly lower GPA, or maybe not as many extracurricular activities, and the percentage of students they admit is just a lot lower and way more competitive. So for me, when you're thinking about college list, right, you want to be able to put your eggs in all these different types of schools. You know, have a safety school, have a couple matches schools, and have a couple of reach schools. You know, you never know until you apply, and you just never know the opportunity, right? It always depends per year of how many students are applying, but I always, tell students diversify your schools. Maybe look into some privates, maybe look into some public. Maybe if you're interested in liberal arts, just give yourself some options. And then, if you're looking for a community college or a trade school, I still think it's really important not just to look at one, but several, right? Because every community college is going to have a different type of vocational program, right? A dental assistant program at one school is not going to be the same at the other school. So you want to diversify and look into them, look into the transfer rates, right? If you're looking to transfer in the future. And then here are just some college search engines. I'm sure you've heard of Big Feature, College Board. Here's another one called College Insight. And then here's KPEX. And then also campus websites are a really good place to look at information as well, because they provide like webinars about the school. So definitely check out your school's website. They have a lot of good information. And then, just lastly, keep an open mind, right? Challenge your assumptions about what will work for you, right? I noticed that some of you started, but you still want to continue, and you got to remember that you're changing throughout high school, right? So the answers may change during the college search process. So something might you be thinking, junior year of school, and then senior year, you're going to be kind of a different person. So you want to be able to, ask yourself those questions about your preferences and goals. I mean, when I was in college, I changed my majors multiple times. You're constantly, changing in that way. So yeah, I definitely, recommend you challenging that and what will work for you. Reflect on your needs, explore all options, and get to know your colleges. Talk to your counselor, talk to the fulfillment college counselors, right? Talk to your teachers, people who know you well. And then also, campuses are kind of back open now, and in some where they're providing in-person college campus tours. So, if you feel comfortable, I know we're still in a pandemic, but even if you're able to kind of do that, get an idea of what school has been like, that's a great way to see, like, do I see myself here? Do I see myself here for a long time? It's a great way to kind of get an idea of the campus, where the buildings are. And then also, if you're not comfortable yet, right, being on a college campus, you could do a virtual tour, which I'm sure you've had some during a couple times already, but you can do that yourself, right? Virtual tours are so technologically advanced where you can kind of like do like a 360 and look at college dorms now, and they're really great. Again, you can have access to that on YouTube. You can search that up, social media, on the campus website. There's just so many things to kind of consider, because not only are you looking at the school, but you're looking around yourself, right? Do you want to live near a beach? Do you want to live near a forest, right? Are there places to eat? Is there fun things to do, right? I know one of my students is going to UC Merced, and she's like, we only have a couple places to shop. And, she really enjoys that aspect of it. And, those are just some things you want to consider outside of just, school itself. Like, what's the neighborhood look like, and what are some things that you can do? So yeah, those are just some of the things, some of the factors I mentioned in terms of your college search. So let's get on to the Q&A and see if you all have any questions for me or any clarifications.
Maybe if you can talk a little bit about work and balance with school.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good question. So yeah, work and balance, I think it depends on you, right? A lot of students, or some students, right, are working part-time, or maybe they're going full-time school, and then some students are having to work full-time. But it's a lot, right? Because full-time is roughly about 12 units, and that could take up a lot of time, because you got to think about studying, right? And then you got to think about your other just daily things and taking care of yourself. So having a work-life balance is so important, because it could be a little bit overwhelming, especially coming into your first year. So a lot of students, come in to their first year and decide to kind of take their first quarter or semester to kind of get acclimated, get used to the transition of college before they even look for work. But some students have worked since high school, so they kind of already know that. But a lot of the work-life imbalance is, the time management aspect, right? Is making sure that you're making time to study and to focus on your academics and not working too much if you can't handle that, right? Because work is also pretty exhausting, and then you also got to think, you got to study and you got to do other things and you got to eat and you got to sleep. So the work and life balance is really important. And if work isn't for you, that's okay as well. Not everyone is expected to work, but some students have to because maybe they didn't get enough financial aid, or they got to support people back home, or they got to support themselves, right? So it just really depends on you, and figuring that out for yourself if that's what you want to do. But a lot of it is time management, and making sure that you're putting on your schedule, right? Putting on your time that this is work time, this is class time, and this is my time, right? Because I always tell students, make time for yourself. It's so important. You're a priority. Thank you all so much for coming. We'll be here for the next 2 minutes, but yeah, feel free to finish your survey and start transitioning to your next session.